Hi, this is Dave Hoskins here to talk to you about bankruptcy. And today we're going to talk about Chapter 7 bankruptcy, a little introduction to Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Now, let's remember Chapter 7 bankruptcy is a liquidation bankruptcy, sometimes called straight bankruptcy. What happens there is that you give up what's called non-exempt property, and then you get a discharge of your debts. So you give up non-exempt property, you get a discharge of your debts. So what's non-exempt property? Well, non-exempt property is property that is not protected from your creditors, and it's not protected from the bankruptcy trustee. Okay, so the trustee in bankruptcy, in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, takes your unprotected property, sells it, uses the money to pay your creditors. Okay, so non-exempt property. So what property is not protected? Well, most of your property is protected. Okay, because the law protects the necessities of living. The law protects a place for you to live, a car for you to drive, food, clothing, furniture, tools of the trade, retirement funds, lots of things that are protected, fairly short list of things that are not protected. Okay, so let's give you an example. One example is an automobile. Okay, the law protects $7,500 of equity in an automobile. Okay, so for example, you have an automobile that's worth $10,000. If you took your automobile to a dealer and the dealer would pay you $10,000 of it, that's essentially the liquidation value of your automobile, so $10,000. And you have a loan on that vehicle of $5,000. Okay, so you have $5,000 of equity. $10,000 value minus the loan of $5,000 leaves $5,000 of equity. And you have a $7,500 exemption for up to 2 automobiles. Okay, so your automobile is protected up to $7,500. You only have $5,000 of equity, so it's protected. Another example is your home. You have a home that's worth $250,000, and you have a mortgage balance of $200,000. So that's $50,000 of equity. Well, in Colorado, you have a homestead exemption of $75,000. So $75,000 of protection, and the example I just gave you, you have $50,000 of equity in your home. Your home is protected. Okay, so trustee takes non-exempt property, property that is not protected, if any. Okay, 90% of people who file Chapter 7 don't have anything that the trustee wants, and so they end up paying nothing, and they get a discharge in their bankruptcy. Give up non-exempt property, get a discharge of your debts in bankruptcy, and that's Chapter 7. Those are the basics of Chapter 7. Now, one important aspect of Chapter 7 bankruptcy, or any kind of bankruptcy, is getting a proper value for your property. So your home, how do you know the value of your home? Well, the best way I think to find out the value of your home is to ask a realtor. Say, hey, I'm thinking about selling my home. Tell me what I would get for it. And ask a couple of realtors. And what they tell you, more or less average of it, is going to be about what your home is worth for the purpose of selling it, and also for the purposes of stating the value in a bankruptcy. For an automobile, you can look it up online. You go to Kelley Blue Book, you go to NADA online, and you look for the trade-in value in those places. So, in Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the trustee will take your property and sell it. But the trustee will also say to you, do you want to keep it? Do you want to keep your home? And if you have unprotected property, unprotected value in your home, okay, then in order to keep it, you'd have to pay the trustee. Well, in the example I just gave you, there is no unprotected value. So you're going to keep your home as long as you continue to pay the mortgage payments. And the same thing with the car that I just told you. But if you had some other unprotected item, let's just say a firearm. Say you have firearms, really nice firearms, they're worth $1,000. The trustee will say to you, what are they worth? And you say, well, I think they're worth about $1,000. I said, well, you want to keep them? Pay me $1,000. That's what the trustee will say to you. If you want to keep those firearms, which I could take and sell, if you want to keep them, pay me $1,000 and you get to keep them. So that's the basics. That's the starting point in Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And so in the next video, we're going to talk about when and how you can keep your home or keep your car in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Thank you.